Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from Passionate Reds, only on All for United.
Hello and welcome back to the tactical preview on All for United. Looking forward to Friday's game. Bit weird, United having a game on a Friday. Seems more of a championship thing than a Premier League, but it is FA Cup weekend, Middlesbrough. Feels like it's been a while. Abdul, Stu, good to have you back. Obviously, the winter break. We didn't have a show last weekend, but how are you both doing?
Good. Been good to see you guys.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good to see you again. It's thank God we got a game this weekend. It's been a bit strange, hasn't it?
Just a bit, yeah.
You'd think with all the cancellations that Burnley would have played over the winter break, really, wouldn't you? Trying to get my level, but no, a lot's happened, hasn't it? But there you go. It is what it is.
What can you do? Yeah. What can you do? Well, we'll jump straight into it. The big news, as the title would suggest, is that Paul Pogba he is going to feature in some way against Middlesbrough. Now, it's good that you're sort of next to me, Abdul, because I wanted to come to you first on this, because I obviously saw your tweet earlier about United's best 11, in your opinion, and it had Pogba either on the left or rotating with Fernandes in the midfield. So I'm assuming that would suggest that you still think Pogba has a very big part to play in this team, especially after all the departures we've had recently.
Yeah, I mean, we are genuinely better when he's on the field, especially when he's up the field. We have a lot more control. We have a lot more creativity. He links up well with Fernandes when they're both of them in the final third. And I know people will not like this, but he's genuinely better on the left than Rashford, because he does a lot more than Rashford on the left. In terms of when to keep the ball, when to release the ball, the passes that he can offer from the left-hand side. He's not as good as Rashford dribbling, but his dribbling is quite good, so he can beat a man or two and then release a pass. So I think he offers a lot more coming from the left-hand side than just having Rashford on the left-hand side. So yeah, that's why I put him on the left-hand side if he's going to play there. Or if you put Sancho on the left and you put Pogba in the center and you want to rest Fernandes, and you can put Rashford on the right-hand side. Because as we've discussed before, Rashford's role becomes a lot more simpler and more effective when he comes from the right than when he comes from the left.
Yeah, completely agree. Two completely separate playing styles, isn't it, between Pogba and Rashford? But Stu, obviously, he's quite a polarising figure sometimes. Are you excited to see him back in the lineup? We've lost a number of players in those attacking positions where you'd assume he'd slot back into.
I think we could do with his creativity. I think Abdel's right in some ways. But I've never liked him out on the left personally. I've never liked him there. That's not how I've ever seen him play. I know he played out there Juve, but I think I think Juve's system was set up nicely for him to flourish in the left, and I'm not really sure we're set up for that. But then again, you got to look at caliber of player as well, the types of players he was playing against, playing alongside with Juventus. But I can see what Abdel is saying. He's more use on the ball when he is out on the left than Rashford is. So I tend to agree with that. I think he's better interchanging with Fernandes. I think Fernandes, when Pogba's on the pitch, I think Fernandes' game gets a little bit stifled. And they've never really found a way of gelling together, them two, which is a shame, really. But then, have they ever really played enough together that enables them to gel? It's one of those, isn't it? So
I think most of the games that they've played together, we actually seen some of our best football under Oli. So the Tottenham away 3-1, the Roma 6-2, even the what's it called? I think we played Anfield and he was on the right hand side or the left hand side, not sure.
I can't remember which side we played.
What other games? I'm pretty sure that most of the games where Pogba played on the left and Rashford, Fernandes was central, and they both kept interchanging those possessions. We played some of the best football we played.
The problem is it's been too far and few. It hasn't been.
It hasn't been a trend, that's for sure.
Yeah,
yes,
and that's the problem. Well, I did say actually a couple of weeks ago, before the transfer window, that I would say or would have considered that Pogba's played his last game for us. But I've had to change my mind over what's happened just recently. And so is it a good thing? Absolutely, because you have a talented footballer when he wants to turn up. And that's the biggest issue I've got with him. It's the only criticism I've got when he wants to turn up. I would imagine he's chomping at the bit. I would imagine he's looking for a nice, easy-ish kind of game to come into, which he won't get, by the way, with Middlesbrough, because they're very aggressive. They're a very aggressive unit, and he's not going to get an easy game. But depending on where he plays him, I would suggest, I think, Abdo, you're probably right. I think he will start him, and I think he will bring him in on the left, which means that Rashford's likely to go out on the right unless he does bring in Sancho, because we are, strange as it seems now, we're quite limited up front. It's weird, isn't it? It's absolutely nuts how we've gone from an abundance of attacking prowess to quite a minimal attacking. And then it also depends on what he does midfield. Does he stick with the McTominay and Fred duo? So I think it's going to be interesting. I think he'll always polarise opinion, Pogba. I think some people see true quality in him and some people just see a lazy player. I'm one that sees the quality in him, but I just don't know from a balanced perspective whether he's ideal for us. That's the kind of point I was making pre-transfer window. So I think it will change now.
I think as a player, I think his time is up at United, but as you know, we're talking just in the frame of this game and where we think we can use him best, or at least in the last 5 months. I think Ollie gave us the blueprint in using Pogba, really, which is either on the left-hand side, which we've known from Juventus, that his best quality is to shine the most when he's on the left of a diamond or on the left of the front three behind the striker. And yes, he can play a deeper role, but it's not optimum. It does not utilize all of his qualities. Just like when we were arguing over Van de Beek, right? You can play him in the pivot, but it does not bring out the best qualities of Van de Beek. You limit actually the player by playing him backwards. So in terms of Pogba, the player, and his relationship with United, I think most of us agreed that it's just time, you know? But in terms of Pogba, the player on the field right now, and what we need of him, and how can we get the best out of the last 5 months of him, I think Ollie gave us a good indication of where to play him, which is that left-hand side, because he operates the best in that left channel. You know, not like the wide channel, but the inward one, the half space. And with someone like Shaw overlapping him, because Shaw, remember that game in Tottenham when he played on the left-hand side? Yeah. Shaw had acres of space to run into just because they were worried about Pogba. And he used to suck in Aurier all the time inside. And Højbjerg. Højbjerg as well. They were trying to double mark him.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of benefits of having him as opposed to Rashford on the left-hand side. If you want to do an interchange between him and Fernandes, then you can do that too. I think the only thing that he affects Fernandes with is that Fernandes might not get the same number of assists, for example, as he used to, because he's not now the sole hub of creativity for United. We have two, you know, which is actually a good thing. You don't want to put all the burden on Fernandes, because yes, there are moments where he'll produce magic and stuff like that, but at other moments he'll just be burdened and start making, you know, reckless decisions, and he'll you know, underperform basically.
I think what I'm hoping is that we'll see a fired up Pogba, a Pogba that's been sitting on the bench, rehabilitating far too long, and he's looking at really making a mark. I think you're right. I think we've seen last of Pogba at Old Trafford come the summer. PSG is likely to be his destination. I think we all agree with that, and we do know that he can come and he can change the game. There's no debate about that. No debate whatsoever. I'm really interested to see how Rangnick uses him. Because how Rangnick sees him, it'll be really interesting. Whether he does, as you quite rightly say, Abdel, follow Ollie's blueprint, or does he look to utilise him in another way? So it'd be really, really interesting to see whether he pushes Bruno up top maybe and puts Pogba into Bruno's position. Obviously, I'm speculating here, but it'd be really interesting to see how Rangnick uses him.
And another point to all of this is also because we were discussing about Martial and how we need more on-ball qualities.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with Martial gone, what's the best replacement to that? Of course, they're not the same. They're not the same player, but you need more on-ball qualities and creativity. So you put Pogba, because now you're becoming a little bit more scarce in the players that you have that can give you that that type of play up top. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then, so to me, I think if Rangnick is going to use him, or if Rangnick wants to go back to the 4-2-2-2, because I'm pretty sure he would want to formulate it somehow, that's his best option, because Pogba drifts inside anyway with Fernandes.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
So it kind of is a 4-2-2-2, even though on paper it's like a 4-2-3-1, whatever it is. And then you have Sancho on the left-hand side. So for me, the aim of the lineup that I put, James, was I am trying to up the quality on the ball that we have in the final third. And at the same time, I'm trying to up the creativity. So even if you have a striker that only scores 1 in 3, if you provide him with 15 chances per game, he'll score you at least, 4 or 5 goals. So, but if you provide him with just one big chance in the entire game, then of course you're not going to score much. You'll be lucky if he scored that 1 in 1. So that was the struggle, the balance that we had before, right? We would have only Fernandes creating chances, but not the very clinical strikers. Like we had a very hot streak post lockdown where everything Rashford and Martial were scoring, but the number of chances created, it was okay, it was good, it wasn't bad, but it was not big enough to warrant the number of goals we were scoring. So once Rashford and Martial, leveled down a little bit on their hot streak, we weren't scoring as much, even though the number of chances were almost the same.
Of course, so, the only problem that does bring with Pogba on the left, depending on, and I think you've already touched on it, if he plays Telles, what protection is Telles going to be given as opposed to Shaw? Now, you are right. When he played alongside Shaw, there was that kind of protection. There was a real good telepathy between the two of them. Probably not as good as when Rashford and Shaw play together, but a good telepathy might, all the same. Now, Pogba, I don't think has played out on the left when Telles has played. So it'll be quite interesting to see how that dynamic works, or whether or not, because Telles does have a tendency to get caught out of possession and out of position during a game. So I'll be quite interested to see how that would work. I think you're right. I think he would then adopt the 4-2-2 system, Diamond. I absolutely believe that, because of Pogba is likely to drift in. But then that does just give me that Telles issue. So it could well be that he brings in Shaw.
Yeah, I think what mitigates this in the sense of it makes it less of a problem than it is that if you it's a how do you say it? It's a risk assessment problem. So, for example, if I were to I want to negate the issue of Telles, right? So let's say I put Pogba in the deep midfield, right? What's the problem that I'm going to bring myself if I put him in deep midfield? Well, Pogba, because he's the best midfielder on the ball that we have, they're all going to press him. So he's going to be the press trigger. They won't care about other midfielders like Scott, like Fred. So there is a higher chance of him losing it in the middle. Okay, so that's the first problem. The second problem is Pogba is not really a midfielder to stop a counterattack.
Correct.
He does not have the agility to, if he loses the ball, he'll run like a rocket and stops that counter. He doesn't have that movement like Fred or Scott.
Yeah.
And that's why probably he looks late, because he can't move actually that fast. People think that he's rapid, but he's not rapid. But on the farther side, on the white channel, if we get caught out, the winger doesn't necessarily need to run back in that same instant. It's only when you're in the settled position, when you're like already defending in your block, that you need the winger to be back and drop back.
Yeah.
And I think he's been doing that when he played on the left. You know, like if you remember the Liverpool games where he played on the left, he actually covered Shaw well against Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I think at that time, Ollie got him to do the defending from the white side. It's just when he's in the center, he's a problem because he can't recover, you know, in the center when he loses it, when we're countered on.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
So I would take that risk over that risk. You know what I mean? It's kind of like which of the lesser evils. That's basically.
But it looks like I haven't heard Rangnick's press conference yet, but they were saying that Shaw's come in anyway because Tellez has just gone back. So that's fair enough. That would suit that.
I wanted to touch on, staying with Pogba then, it feels sort of relevant for this show in particular to relate that back to Ronaldo. Obviously, he is the star striker at the minute. I'll bring up Hammer's comment from earlier about the fact that he could link up well with Ronaldo. Now, I'll target this more at Abdul, but Stu, feel free to jump in as well. But does Pogba fit sort of the archetype of player that Ronaldo has thrived with in previous seasons? Because it still feels like we're looking to get the best out of Ronaldo as well.
I think he can offer him the passes that he needs when he's in the box. Unfortunately, Ronaldo does not have the ability to link up outside of the edge of the 18-yard box. You know, like I remember a couple of instances where Rashford tried to do that with Ronaldo, and it didn't work because one, they don't have the understanding yet, and secondly, it's just every time Ronaldo received the ball, he lost it because Rashford passes it to him in a very tight space. And he's not the guy that works the ball in a tight space between defenders. You know, right now, Ronaldo relies more on like, you know, one shot kill kind of thing, you know, whether with his head, with his feet, whatever it is, like that finish mainly. So I don't think link up in terms of on the ground would work between Pogba and Ronaldo, but I think link up between like crosses into the box or passes over the top of a defense would work better between Ronaldo and Pogba.
Yeah. No, I agree wholeheartedly with that. Yeah. In fact, I've got nothing more to add. I think you're spot on. I think the biggest problem with Ronaldo at the minute is we just haven't found that chemistry, and the chemistry that we all know that we had has now gone to Sevilla. So in terms of Ronaldo making space in the box, yes, for the right pass or the right cross, absolutely. But he's not going to dribble his way into the box anymore. You're absolutely right. He can't hold up the ball outside the 18-yard area and bring a midfielder into play anymore. That's not his game anymore. The game is 18, actually more 12 yards and in, and get the ball into him, and he's going to score goals. But we're not doing it enough for him. We're not. He's making the runs. He's making the space, but we're not finding him. And that's really where Sancho's got to come into play. Rashford, if he plays, has got to come into play. But Abdel's right, actually. Not many people would have noticed that. Rashford is playing balls into Ronaldo, where he's got 2 or 3 defenders around him at any one time, and he's got nowhere to go. It's too tight in that box. Ronaldo is one of the best in the areas we know.
Rashford is treating him as if he's Martial. And the top problem is he's not Martial, It's like, Rashford, you're not playing with Martial, bro. It's a different player right now, He's not going to link up the same way.
No, absolutely not.
And I've seen it. It breaks up a lot of the attacks of our attacks when Rashford and Ronaldo plays together and they try to link up. And a comment from someone here said about how he asks for the ball a lot. We've said that a lot before. Yeah, sorry, I can't. Vipul, I think I pronounced his name right. He does that a lot. We've spoken about it before. He asks. The problem is Ronaldo, even though he doesn't link up, he asks for the ball anyway. So it's kind of like you even don't know how to do it. Like, unless there's space around you and there is one option that's obvious for a simple pass, he does that. But if it's between the two banks of four and it's tight, Ronaldo can't do that. And unfortunately, as he says here, he passes the ball back every time he gets it. Like,
yeah, he does.
Very, very few instances where you'll see Ronaldo will take the ball on a half turn and drive forward and continue the attack.
Not anymore.
He just brings the attack back, and then you circulate the ball again, and then you have to go through the fullback again, and then maybe you'll go through Ronaldo again, and then he passes it back again, and then the whole circle repeats itself.
Yeah, I mean, Ronaldo's always on the half turn, but he's on the half turn because he's wanting the ball in front of him. He knows where he wants to be, and he's pointing to the space all the time. We just have this issue at the minute where we can't seem to find him. And then what he's having to do is, consequently, he's having to make goals out of nothing, which is what he's which is what he's been doing. He's there or he's thereabouts. The thing is with Cavani's got that movement, that absolute fox, that lightning movement, which is absolutely brilliant to see, brilliant to watch. And he would be, a young Ronaldo who was playing out on the wing, who got all these tricks without, he had, don't forget, he had Van Nistelrooy to play with. So the amount of goals that came from there. Ronaldo was never going to be that Cavani. He was never going to be that Van Nistelrooy. He just has got this single-minded thought process of, I want the ball in the box so I can score goals. But as you say, when he comes out of the box, it becomes a wooden leg post for us, unfortunately, and that's just the way that he is. Shame.
I think the frustrating thing as well is obviously with linking it back to Pogba. I think if you had the Cristiano Ronaldo of maybe 5 to 10 years ago, where his big strength was that explosive speed, which I get he's got the body of a 25-year-old, whatever, but he doesn't have that speed anymore. It's very obvious to see. So I think you can't even sort of play him in behind defenses anymore, can you?
Yeah,
not really. No, I mean you can, but he's never.
You can, but it depends on the defenders.
Yeah.
Like for example, Brighton defenders maybe because they're not that fast. Burnley defenders maybe because they're not that fast. So it depends on the defenders. He lost a lot of speed. Like I remember, I think I've said it before. I remember in the World Cup 2018, there was one moment where Ronaldo raced from the halfway line, or like from almost his goal side, Portugal's goal, to the other side, and he reached like a maximum speed of like 35 or something, and everyone talked about it. Oh, the guy is 34 and he's still like this fast, blah blah blah. But in the last 2 years or 3 years, he lost a lot of speed. Like that was the last moment you've ever seen Ronaldo run that fast.
Absolutely.
So if you got a Ronaldo of 2017 with Real Madrid, he can score a lot of goals. He's a lot more dynamic. But we got Ronaldo of 2021, not 2017 or 2018.
Yeah, we have.
So it's a completely different Ronaldo.
I mean, Ronaldo, when he was first with us, he used to have a sprint coach. He used to stay behind with a sprint coach and practice his technique more than anything. It wasn't his pace; it was his technique. He had the pace, but he had poor technique. And that's one of the areas that he started to work on his game, and that's where he is today. Today, Ronaldo's the clinician. He is clinical. That's what he does. He's the surgeon's knife, and we've got to utilize that better than what we do. And maybe Pogba.
I wouldn't say clinical, those two. I say he relies a lot on his shot quantity because he shoots a lot more than any other forward in the world. He shoots a lot. So the thing is, he likes to take any chance he gets. But he makes those chances for himself. So that's the difference. Right. You know what I mean?
Law of averages.
So it's like he will open up a space just to take a shot. He's kind of like Rashford in a way, but a smarter way about it. Rashford, I don't want to say dumb, but like Rashford, sometimes it's like it's blocked in front of you. There's no way you'll get a shot, and he still takes it.
But I'll still shoot. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like me. When I get up front, I get a bit of the old blood rushes to my head, and I think I can place one, and I forgot.
Ronaldo is a little bit smarter about it, although he does sometimes take shots from impossible angles. You'll be like, "What are you doing?" But at least he's a bit smarter about it, and he relies on the volume of shots. Like he takes a lot of shots, more than any other forward, and it helps him with getting his goal tally up. There was something I was gonna say actually about, but it slipped through my mind. If it came back, I'll say it.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
another thing that I've picked up on Ronaldo, it's really nothing at all of any value, but he tends to, you know, when you say he goes for these shots from strange angles, I've noticed a number of times he's gone for these shots from ridiculous angles that he's not going to score from, and the ball ends up just hitting his standing leg anyway, which is even more frustrating. So not only are you going for the wrong shot, but you've not actually connected with the ball.
Or he completely missed it, and he, you know, gets frustrated as if he's like, I can't believe I missed this shot. You know, I'm like, well, you're taking it from an insane angle.
It's just it's not what you expect from him. That's
it's a good point, that James. It's a good point. That. I mean, we've all seen it. We've all noticed it. We've all gone.
I remember now what I was going to say. It was actually a story about René Malstein. I think there was a show he was on, and he was talking about him making the training sessions for the 2007-2008 Manchester United and the trio, you know, Tevez, Ronaldo, and Rooney. And he was like, he was frustrated by how Ronaldo always asks for the ball. So this is a habit that Ronaldo had even back then. You know, it's like, Ronaldo, you like the ball, right? He's like, yeah. Like, you like to get the ball on your feet. He's like, yeah. He's like, okay, do you see this space? Can you run behind the defenders? He's like, are you fast? No, actually, yeah. He told him, do you think you're fast? He's like, I'm the fastest. And I was like, okay, so I want you to run into the space. You see Paul Scholes there? Do you think he can get you the ball over there? He's like, yeah, I think. He's like, do you think Paul is one of the best passers you've played with, right? He's like, yeah. Like, so Paul will get you the ball there. All I need you is just to run into that space. And back then he was incredibly fast. And he just took that whole idea of like run into space instead of, you know, coming back and asking for someone to give you the ball and you try to dribble your way through it for no reason, you know. And I found that story very interesting because he still does that now. He reverted back to that. You know, it's like asking for the ball too much instead of trying to run into space. And it was, an interesting story. Like I wish we had René Malstein because he understood him and he understood his ego. You know, it's like he wants to do everything. He wants the ball. He wants to be the showman and to do everything. It's like, well, you're the fastest player, right? And you're the best, right? You want to score more goals, right? So he's kind of like playing with his ego, right? So, okay, all you got to do is just trust that Paul Scholes will give you the ball in that area and you will score all the goals you want. Because also you're the fastest, so no defender will catch you.
Do you think the reason he's not doing it so much is that, you know, it's probably different when Paul Pogba comes back in, but United don't have that player anymore that is guaranteed to find him every time he makes a decent bit of movement. So do you think that's why he's reverted back to that sort of desperation to get the ball as much as possible?
Yeah, I think it plays the part massively. Yeah, the fact that he knows Fred and Scott, he sees them struggling, progressing the ball, you know, from when the block is compact. He you know, drops back more frequently, but it's already been a habit with him. Like it's something that he has been doing throughout his career. It increased at Juventus when when he also had troubles. You know, when they had trouble formulating the attacks with him, he started asking for the ball more. He wants to do something because he's not getting service. He's not getting the ball, right?
Yeah.
And then it continued with us, basically. So
we had issues with Dybala in his last season at Juventus. He had major problems with Dybala.
Yeah, because he's dropping into the same areas that Dybala drops into.
That's exactly right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's why Dybala and for example, Lionel Messi had problems playing together as well because they're dropping into the same areas, occupying the same areas that they want to play in.
Yeah.
It was the same thing for Ronaldo. Ronaldo always keep dropping to the right, and Dybala plays in that right pocket.
Exactly,
He's like, and they're becoming to. So you either play this guy or that guy, but this is Cristiano Ronaldo, so you drop Dybala.
There's only one winner. Yeah, you dropped Dybala, a brilliant player.
And he went from having like a really good season with like over 10 assists and over 10 something goals to nothing, playing almost no minutes.
Yeah, so shocking, really.
By the way, if you noticed, Greenwood and Fernandes, actually Greenwood mainly. Sorry to bring him up, but like as a point, his numbers dropped when Ronaldo walked into the team because they do the same things exactly when they play, and it's kind of like I was like, you know, think about like one of them is gonna suffer, and it isn't gonna be Ronaldo, so. It is going to be the other player who's smaller, who's like, you know, he's not as big a character as Ronaldo. So it's the same kind of scenario happened at United when he moved to Juventus. So it was just it's sad for us, but it's funny seeing it play out.
We did. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Well, we'll move on. I know we've only got sort of 15 minutes time before Stu has to run off and put in his own tactical masterclass at five-a-side. But I want to end the show on sort of it's an FA Cup game against a lower league opposition. Obviously, we'll cut Middlesbrough some slack. They're going to be a good team, but we're expecting rotation. So I want to ask you sort of who's sort of a couple of players that you're really looking to see start this weekend and
I
get
don't
some
think
minutes.
you'll see rotation. Actually, I don't think you'll see rotation. I think the winter break will put it, and I think Rangnick will want this trophy. I'm absolutely convinced of it. And if anyone's seen Middlesbrough play this season, they are a tough cookie. They are very, very aggressive, not in terms of physicality, but they're very aggressive in their play. Their fullbacks are very, very quick. They're very, very strong. They play quite high. They use their fullbacks a lot to attack, actually. But the overall, the way that Wild has got them playing, that overall stability as a unit is going to be exceptionally hard. And I think Rangnick will have noticed this. He's had 2 weeks to pretty much prepare for Middlesbrough. And I think you're going to see a strong squad. I really do. I think you're going to see a strong starting 11. I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't a Varane, Maguire partnership, a Shaw, Dalot at the back, a McFred, a Bruno, and a Pogba. I wouldn't be surprised, Abdel, if Pogba does start. I think you're right, and it's a question of what happens, with Ronaldo. So I just think Rangnick has got it's our best. I think we'll do okay in the Champions League because the way that Rangnick likes to set us up, but getting to the latter stages, I think it's been very, very difficult for us. So I just think Rangnick will look at this, and I think the players look at this and say, right, this is our best opportunity to get a trophy. And look, Middlesbrough are going to come and they're going to play football. There's no point in sitting for a draw. It's a complete waste of time.
They reflect their manager, and their manager is hard-headed and tough.
He is, yeah. It's going to be a great game of football, actually. Middlesbrough, no mugs. It's going to be a very, very good game.
The thing is also because most of the rotation players, they have issues. So like Bailly has an issue with the ankle. Lindelof has an issue with his back. Who else came with a problem? I think Telles, he's just played a game and he's something.
Telles is late back, isn't he?
Something like that. Cavani is not here. Probably Fred will start because he haven't played with Brazil the last game.
Lingard's not playing. We know. I mean, you could see. Arguably, couldn't you? You could see Dalot drop out, and you could see Wan-Bissaka come in. Arguably, you could see that. You could see Matic come in potentially.
It will be interesting to see if Henderson gets a shot.
Well, that
would be interesting.
That's the key. That is the key. I mean, I'd like to see Henderson get a shot anyway, personally, because I think he's a great goalkeeper. People disagree. It is what it is. But Tyrone's right. McNair's one of the best players of the Championship this season. He's been absolutely terrific for Middlesbrough. So, Tyrone's right. They've got some players to worry about, and they will worry us. And they are dogged. Chris Wilder's he's just a dogged personality. He's a dogged manager. And his team does represent him. So, it won't be easy at all. It's not a bad, people. It's not a bad shout, that.
Well, the reason I brought up sort of rotation was that there's been a lot made of Hannibal since he came back. Obviously, he's been name dropped twice by Rangnick in the past sort of week or so. Obviously, he's been promoted to the senior team. I'll give this over to you, Stu, to start with, because obviously you do a couple of shows on the academy and so on. Is he at that level where you could throw him in against the Middlesbrough yet?
Well, he's at that level. Yeah, there's absolutely no two ways about it. He's a wonderful talent. He really is. He's by far the most foul player in the under-23s. Every time he gets the ball, he's the Jack Grealish of the under-23s. He's a strong boy. He really is. He's got fabulous technical ability, fabulous awareness. But the thing about the kid is he's not afraid. From what I've seen of him, he's not afraid to take the ball and progress the ball. He's not afraid of losing the ball because he'll go and he'll win it back. And, as a young player or as any player, if you're scared of taking risks during a game because of the consequences of conceding a goal, etc., you'll never, ever progress. You just won't progress as a footballer. You've got to have that kind of cunningness about you. And he has. I fully understand why he's been brought up to first team training. I don't expect him to start. He could feature if he's on the bench. He's going to need to understand, and by all accounts, he was quite good in the AFCON. I've not seen a lot of him for Tunisia, but he made the Tunisian national side. It's a great lift for the kid. But no, he
played well with them. I've seen their games in the AFCON.
He's a really good guy. He's got a very languid approach, which I like. He's not an all-action Fred type player. He's not big like McTominay, so he's not graceful like Pogba. But he's very languid, but he's very, very deceptive as a footballer. He's a fabulous talent. He really is.
He's more on the brain than...
He is, yeah. But we've got to use him right, haven't we, Abdel? If we use him wrong, he's one of those, James. You've got to use him right. A little bit like Shawratiri. Very, very talented footballer. You've got to use him right. And I hope he's not got the stature of Alanga. Of course, we've forgotten about Alanga. Could Alanga start?
Alanga is more physical.
Yeah, he is. He's not got that stature, but why? He is way ahead of a lot of players with his intelligence. I like an intelligent footballer, James. He fits into that mark. He really does. He's a great, great talent. I think if you ask anybody who watches the 23s, they've actually been calling for him to get a chance for 2 years now. But he's done the right thing. There's another kid in there as well.
Alvaro Fernandez.
I'm just about to say, yeah. Wonderful fullback, brilliant fullback. Needs a haircut, but great, really good fullback. I think he's trained.
We got him from Real Madrid, no?
We did, yes.
Yeah, he was from Real Madrid. I think it was Mark Gerardo that was from Barcelona.
Okay.
He's a great player. I mean, Connor, to be fair, Connor and Benny have been touting Fernandez for a while. I like him. I picked him up. He caught my eye in the 23s. We've got a really good youth system. Actually, we've got a great group of youngsters.
The last 2 years, we've been recruiting very well in the
we have, yeah,
that's for sure.
But yeah, I'm glad you know about Fernandez, Abdel, because he's got a chance. That kid.
I've seen a couple of the youth games, and I've seen him. He's really good.
Yeah, he's got a
he was playing in the games.
Young Charlie Savage, if he keeps improving, young Charlie Savage has got a chance as well. It's really strange. He's a bit of a more graceful player than his old man.
Yeah. I actually put out a tweet about Shawratiri and Hannibal before because people were freaking out about all the outgoings, and I'm like, no, there's no need. I mean, we were very bloated in the attack area, right? And then we had these three promoted to the first team since last year.
That's right. Yeah.
And they were training since last year with the first team. So, and all three of them got their debuts last year with Ollie. And I'm pretty sure his plan was to integrate them further had it not gone sour with him.
Yeah.
So this is their chance, right? So we trimmed the bloated squad, bring them in, a couple of minutes here, a couple of minutes there, 10 minutes, 15 minutes there, and just integrate them easily into the team. If
we're winning comfortably tomorrow night, I don't think we will be winning comfortably, but if we do, it'd be lovely to see, if Hannibal's in the, in the squad, it'd be great to see him come on, and sample Old Trafford. And the FA Cup, what a time, what a great time to make your debut. The FA Cup, it's phenomenal. Under lights at Old Trafford, 76,000 sellout. It'd been amazing for the kids if one or two of them made their debut.
Sort of just following on from that, it seems, I don't know, a bit poetic how obviously Marcus Rashford was given his chance because Anthony Martial was injured for that game. And I think, how poetic would it be that maybe Hannibal is given a chance, or Elanga's given even more chances to let himself shine after Anthony Martial is let out on loan. Obviously, we don't want it to happen, but I suppose there's silver linings in grey clouds. It would be nice, wouldn't it?
Well, but as a kid, you dream about becoming a professional footballer. But playing for Manchester United, just to pull on that red shirt, even at youth level, is something that, you know, none of us have experienced. It must have been an experience that'll live with you know, forever. Alan Tongue, if you remember when we spoke to Alan Tongue, he'll tell you, pulling on that red shirt for the first time, even a training top, you know, with your little initials on it, your little number on it, and you trot out your first session, it's absolutely great. What I've seen about Hannibal, though, and this is what I like about him, he's got the mentality and the mental strength to be able to cope with playing for Manchester United. Shoretiri, I'm not so sure if he's mentally right there, and physically he's not right there. Technically, as Abdel's said, yes, great player. And Alanga's shown that mental strength, that real want to, you know, he doesn't play like a kid. He plays like a grown up. I know it sounds a bit stupid what I'm saying, but he plays like a mature professional footballer. And Medjbury will bring that to his game. He's got that mentality of it won't overawe him. He won't, you know, if somebody puts a crunching tackle in him, it won't bother him. He'll just get on with it and he'll keep playing his game. He won't allow the team to dictate his game. He will play his game. And I like that about the kids. So I would potentially leave it till, depending on how the season structures itself. And as Abdel says, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here, when we're comfortable in games, I think that would be absolutely great for the lad. But yeah, wonderful player. He really is. I take it you've seen him in the 23.
Shoretiri or Hannibal?
Sorry, Hannibal.
Yeah, Hannibal. I've seen him. I've seen a couple of games. He's wonderful. Technically good. Very, very good technically. And like you said, I've noticed how he gets tackled a lot in the youth academy, but he gets up right away and he continues fighting. It reminded me of Fernandes, and at the time I was frustrated with Fernandes and how he just holds his leg every time someone does anything to him, and signals for a foul. I was like, yeah, I wish Fernandes was like that. So, because he gets up right away and continues the play, like fights for the ball back. So,
yeah, I think you just need to look at that sort of, what was it, 10-minute cameo he had against Wolves at the end of last season. I think he was unbelievable in that game. For what the fact that we were defending a 1-0 lead, he was coming on in the last 10 minutes of the season. I think given the circumstances, I think he did really, really well, and it's a positive. It's a positive sign for the future.
I'd forgotten about that, actually. I'd forgotten.
He had his debut in the Premier League last season.
I forgot. Yeah, I did forget about that. Yeah,
we won 2-1. Remember, one met a penalty and Elanga header.
Yeah, because we were concentrating more on the midfield dynamic of Donny and Matic, if you remember. So, and I know Elanga scored. I knew Elanga had made his debut. Played that game, and he scored with a header. But I forgot Medjbury came.
Medjbury came on, and Elanga came on, and I think someone else, but Fish, I think.
Was it? Not sure.
Will Fish, I think.
Will Fish.
It was either against Wolves or Young Boys, his debut, wasn't it? Yeah, I know he has definitely played for the first team.
It's great to see. I mean, he, like I say, he's got all the attributes. I watched the Old Firm derby last night, and Ahmed had a bit of a shocker, really.
Yeah.
Welcome to Scotland.
It was too tough a game for him to come on.
It was, yeah. Welcome to Scotland. That was. He was
on fire.
He was immense against Ross County, but I mean, Ross County just like, But Jesus, poor lad.
He needs that experience, by the way.
He does,
ruffle him up, but it's like he needed that to know that professional football, they'll try to break you if they can,
Yeah. So, then again, Rangers were poor, weren't they? Right across the board.
Yeah, they were awful.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Dear me. Right, I think we'll call it a day there. I think it still obviously has to get off. I'll say this as well, because you'll hear this on every show that we put out for at least the next week. Obviously, a lot of stuff going on outside the club that we're not going to comment on. We're not going to do a show on at all. We're just going to say that everyone at All for United severely condemns the behaviour and any behaviour of that sort. And there's links, if anyone is going through anything like that, there's links in the description to where you can get help. So be sure to check those out. And obviously, everyone at All for United is open to give any support if needed. Obviously, we're not professionals, but we're just generous people. But on that slight downer, we'll end it there. I hope you've enjoyed. Stu, Abdul, massive thank you for joining me. Massive thank you to everyone who thank you to everyone who tuned in, got the comments in, just got involved with the show. Really helps us, makes it a much more enjoyable experience. But stay tuned. We've got a big show with an athletic journalist coming up for you sometime in the next 3 or 4 days. So definitely stay tuned for that. That's really exciting. Yes, a lot of coverage tomorrow after the Middlesbrough game as well. So stay tuned for that. Until then, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.